exactly happened here. That's pretty much the very preliminary information that we have right now. The other three people were taken to area hospitals. Right now, the injuries appear to be non-life-threatening injuries, although serious. Again, we're investigating, and that's all the information that we have at this point. I can take a few questions if you have any
I
questions.
just want to clarify. You said that these people were targeted. What led you to that conclusion? Why did you say
Targeted
that?
because it's a gang
Well, they
shooting.
were in the block. There was a funeral, and we have people who were shot here. We haven't identified a gunman, but it appears that the individuals who were standing in the block were targeted for some reason, and that reason we're not sure.
Okay, I'm trying to find a live coverage of this, guys. A little bit different scene for me today. I haven't made it out to my studio yet
Just after 12
because
o'clock
trying
p.m.,
to get ready to
there's a
head to the
funeral being held at the funeral home behind me.
Nashville
The funeral had just let
inauguration of
out
an annual
around
meeting.
12:17 p.m. Member of the
So
Metropolitan.
I'm in my house trying to pack some stuff up, and this came across the wire about this shooting at a DC funeral. And I'm sure most of us who can think clearly more than likely know what type of shooting this was. But given the benefit of the doubt and as many wackos as we have out there, it would appear that we at least need to give them the benefit of the doubt to gather up their resources and confirm what was happening here. Guys, I want to point one thing out, and this is something that is so important in fixing gun violence. If we don't figure out what the root cause of these shootings are, you can't fix them. If you simply focus on the gun every time, it's not possible to focus on the root cause. It's just not possible. If your car runs out of gas, you don't change the headlights or the wiper blades. Just not how it works. You figure out why it ran out of gas, if it ran out of gas, and then you fix that problem. If the tire goes flat, you don't put more gas in the vehicle. You figure out why the tire went flat and you focus on where that problem was and you fix it. Changing tires and adding gas to the vehicle, both are considered maintenance on a vehicle, but they are definitely not going to fix the same problem on a vehicle. And there's several other problems that will arise on a vehicle that those things won't fix, right? We all know that. You all know that. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here. The whole point of it is if we take just the last two shootings, and let's just make the assumption, the wild, crazy assumption that this is a gang shooting. Guys, this type of scenario happens all the time. There's a gang shooting that happens. There's a funeral for the gang member who got shot. The rival gang comes back by and shoots at people there. It happens all the time. This won't be the first time, and this won't be the last time that this type of shooting happens. Now, am I speculating? Absolutely, I am, based on history and facts that I've seen before. My reason for bringing that up is not that it's not important. I want this to be resolved also. I want these gang members to stop shooting at each other. There's family members that are suffering as a result of this. And we all know they typically, in most cases, miss their targets and they hit innocent people. So it's very possible that the one guy who was killed and the other people who were hurt here are more than likely not even the targets. So we're hitting innocent people whenever they're having these gangland shootings. My whole point in this is if we, as these idiot politicians and legislators, attempt to approach the resolution of a gang type shooting and approach the resolution of a trans member who's confused about themselves and depressed and suicidal and homicidal, and they're hopped up on SSRIs and their body is all out of whack. If we try to approach both of those types of shootings and resolve them, it's not possible if we're honest about it. Because again, we can't look at guns being the issue. Let's remove guns for a minute and take the trans shooting and take a gang shooting. Let's look at those two types of shootings. Again, I honestly do care about the family members of both of those types of shootings. I am a reasonable person, and I look at stuff like that, and I hate to see it happen when family members are suffering as a result of these wackos losing their jobs and just going out in a blaze of glory, not to mention the very fact that we have innocent bystanders and victims who are losing their lives too. That's probably where my biggest amount of regret goes, that those people are being involved unnecessarily. But if we remove guns from the equation and we look at what's the cause of a gang person, well, the existence of the gang, first of all, the desire to be accepted in the gang, the retaliation against another gang whenever there's turf-related issues, then the retaliation when there's murders as a result of those turf-related issues. You see what I'm saying? The community has to focus on those particular. It's a smaller, more localized problem that has to be resolved from the community. This is not a worldwide phenomenon that has to be addressed worldwide. On the other hand, when you have these trans people who are mentally ill and taking these mood altering drugs, it's two things. It's society refusing to get them help. And it's the fact that drugs are pushed onto these people regardless of their current situation. That's more of a national and a worldwide phenomenon that has to be addressed. That's not a localized issue. If we're approaching both of these the same way, we can't possibly fix them both. And that's just two scenarios. That has nothing to do with the radicals out there who are killing people like just because of who they are, just because they're Christians or Muslims or whatever. So just in those two scenarios, if we just pick one method of trying to resolve it, then the other one doesn't get solved. Now, choosing guns to ban, you don't solve either one of them. So my point is, this does matter. When people, oh, why does it matter if it's a gang shooting? Why does it matter if it's a trans person? Well, don't you want to fix the problem? Do you really want to fix the problem? Because if you want to fix the problem, you acknowledge what the issue is, you acknowledge what the root cause is, and you try to go from there and resolve it. If you sit here and ignore all the facts and act like none of the facts matter based on the exact scenario of what you're dealing with, you're not serious about fixing the problem. You're here to just bitch and complain. So I want to look a little bit more at this particular one. From what I understand so far, guys, this is totally different from our protected person in Louisville yesterday who shot up the bank because he was getting terminated and sounds like he was depressed and suicidal. It's definitely different than our, let me go back to this. It's different than our Nashville trans shooter. So we're dealing with completely different scenarios here. Let's see. One man died and 3 other people were hurt in a shooting. Let me get rid of this crap. All these dang pop-ups. Good Lord. Are you serious? Okay. 1 man died and 3 other people were hurt in a shooting Tuesday at a funeral home in Northeast DC. A funeral for a homicide victim. There you go. Just exactly what I said. Is somebody else got shot. And now somebody's retaliating by driving by this funeral. A funeral for a homicide victim had just ended at the Stewart Funeral Home at the 4400 block of Benning Road. God, I cannot unbutton this shirt. About noon when someone shot people who were standing outside. Metropolitan Police Department Chief Robert Conti said at a news conference, and that's part of the conference that we just listened to. Conti said an officer who was nearby heard the shots and found 4 adults were shot. 1 man died. The 3 other victims suffered injuries that were not life-threatening, the police chief said. Several people who were standing in the block after the funeral were apparently targeted, but police don't know yet. So that's just like I said, and I hate to laugh because somebody lost their life in this. They're missing their targets. They usually do not hit who they're shooting at. Police haven't identified a suspect, and investigators are still working on talking to witnesses. It was a drive-by. I mean, I don't see it here yet, but I did hear this on the way over. They're not pointing that out here, but this was a drive-by shooting. It was somebody drove by and shot at these people. Let me see if I can find something else on this. Not a whole lot of data coming out right now, but again, when you got a situation like this, the media knows when it's a gang shooting, and the media doesn't care. The media only cares whenever it's something that's going to further somebody's cause in the gun community or the anti-gun community. And in this case, they're like, another gang shooting happened in DC outside a funeral home at a homicide victim's funeral. So the media does not care. The media is very reluctant to follow this because it doesn't matter to them. They don't sell newspapers. They don't sell commercial time when this kind of stuff happens. So you're probably not going to hear much about this. This will disappear quickly like a lot of them do. This was definitely not the same kind of shooting that we had yesterday in Louisville or week before last in Nashville. Let's see, all pretty much the same. 4,000 block at the funeral home. Requested be saying that somewhere I read that it was a drive-by. Somebody drove by and shot these people and then drove off. And in fact, they even listed the type of car that they were looking for. Let's see. I'm looking on some other links real quick to see if I can find the type of vehicle. I believe it was a green. I want to say it was a green vehicle that they said they were looking for. Conti confirmed that 4 people were shot. 1 adult male was declared deceased. He also says it appears that several people were specifically targeted. As happens in gang shootings, they know who they're looking for. They were targeted, probably not hit. How low can you be of a human being to target other people at a funeral? Dude, this happens every week. I mean, he's saying this because right now the spotlight is on public shootings right now, and he's got the spotlight. But you know the man's rolling his eyes and walking off going, here we go again. I mean, this is not something new. Yeah, they don't talk about the vehicle in this one either. Let me see real quick if I can find the vehicle. And guys, I'm doing this because I do care about all these victims, the innocent victims that end up getting shot, and of course their families that have to deal with this kind of stuff. It's ridiculous. Okay, let me find another tab for you guys. My internet seems kind of slow, so I close that one window down while I look for another link over here to share. I'm just checking to see if we've had any newer news. This all seems to be okay. Here's a local affiliate. Again, as I said yesterday, I prefer to get local affiliates coverage because in many cases those are going to be boots on the ground already, people who are already at the scene and already asking questions well before the national media gets a hold of it and poisons and starts to begin to shape the actual agenda. So let's see if this is going to be more of the same or not. 1 man killed, 3 others critically injured. Police say a police officer was stationed near the funeral home in Northeast Washington where the service was held when the gunfire broke out around 12:30 p.m. Shooting happened about 20 minutes after a funeral ended for a victim of a homicide who was shot and killed in March. Good Lord. The victim's family had asked police to have officers near the funeral because it's a gang. I mean, every time there's a family member of mine that gets killed, I ask police to hang around in case there's any problems too, right? Doesn't that seem normal to you? It's a gang shooting, guys. At least 4 people were shot. Again, 1 died at the scene. Gunfire comes as the country reels. Yeah, see, they want to tie all these together. They want to make sure that every single shooting out there is seen as a mass shooting, as they like to call it. I mean, they're not going to find this person. You know that too. I mean, it's not like they're looking for a quote lone gunman. They're looking for a carload of guys that shot at this church and funeral home. Yeah, there's no new data out there, man. It's all, here's one, WTOP. That does appear to be possibly a DC one as well. Shooting happened at 12:15. Police also do not know if there was one shooter or multiple shooters. We kind of know that. It was going to be multiple shooters. Funeral was for a person who was shot and killed. That's my son. That's my son. Those of you that don't know, I have a special needs son, and he is in the front room playing with some stuff and looking at his iPad, and he likes to vocalize and make himself known. So my apologies if that's disruptive to some of you, but that's my boy. And he's fine, by the way. He is fine. I don't need to check on him. He's good. Let's see. Let me refresh this one more time and just see if there's any more. You check on the news tab over here. You know, a lot of times you got to check your search engines too. The more data will come through on Google, but there are 2 other search engines. One is DuckDuckGo and one is Brave. Somebody turned me on the brave.com. That's a pretty good one too. I got turned on to that a couple of weeks ago. And that one's pretty good. What they do is they don't filter out this stuff given to you from conservative media. They will give you all of the data. So you're still going to get the liberal garbage, but the liberal garbage is not ranked all the way up at the top like your Googles are going to do and your Yahoos are going to do. These are a lot less politically driven, and they just put the data out there. They're not looking for a reason to rank it a certain way for you. Let's see what Fox News says. I haven't seen theirs yet today. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Okay, Washington, D.C. funeral home shooting leaves 1 dead, 3 wounded. Yeah, this is going to be more of the same. Let's see. Officer responded to scene. Excuse me, my nose is itching me like crazy. Let's see, I remember went to the aid of several people. Sounds like the officer tried to render aid to people after the shooting took place. There was an officer on the scene, I think across the street by a stop sign. Yeah, here we go. At this point, Metro Police asking for community's help, asking for anyone who has information. They're not going to mention the car. I saw something on the car earlier. At this point, it appears that several people were in the block specifically targeted. We're unsure why. We're unsure why these people were targeted. More or less, they were targeted at a funeral. We don't understand that. Yeah, we do. It's prototypical gang stuff. We have not identified a gunman, but it appears that individuals who were standing in the block were targeted for some reason, and that reason we're not sure. Wow, so gullible and naive, or they just don't want to say. Here we go. Conti said it was not clear at this time whether the incident was a drive-by shooting. Well, the shooters were in vehicles and they drove by the location. That, by definition, is a drive-by shooting. It does not appear that it was an exchange of gunfire. Well, no, it was not. It was the car driving by that shot at them. Trying to see. Again, it doesn't look like they're going to list it. On the way over here, I did find something, and I'll just leave one of these up for now, hoping that it does get updated here shortly. I'm going to look at my phone and see if I can't find somewhere in here the link that I saw that showed that they were looking for a specific car. Because they did list a car earlier in an emergency link that I got. So give me 1 second to try to find that, and hopefully I can share that with you guys. Shooting unfolded while the funeral home employee was killed. Man, I can't find it. Why? I don't understand that. I just saw it a while ago, and be darned if I can't find it now. Again, my apologies for my son. He's in there, and he's fine. He's just doing his thing. And you guys may have, I'm not even looking at your comments, and I apologize for that. I'm on my laptop, so it's a little bit harder. The screen's much smaller, but I don't know if any of you have seen what we're looking at as far as the type of car that they're. And I say this because, if someone can help to find these people, then great. Let's see. My pleasure, man. Cornbread Burgess says, thanks for sharing this, and your son does not bother in the least. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. He's a good kid. He's a little vocal. He's a little vocal. I'm surprised that he's not in here harassing me right now. And I'm just going to post a bunch of you guys' comments because there's a lot of you on here posting comments right now. I've had cousins killed by gang violence, and his mom asked for police to be there also. This happens with gang activity, but BLM, by the way, I'm black. I appreciate that, Big Mitch. You're right. I mean, this is a common occurrence. I'm not trying to make this about race or anything like that. I mean, anybody who pays attention knows what's happening here. Jason says appointment. I don't know what that appointment you for taking the time covering this. I know it's just a typo. The whole autocorrect blows my mind because it usually never gets it right. If you can, could you interview a local gun shop near me called Sporting Systems? They have been fighting this gun ban. Jason, send me their information. Email me at paul@legallyarmedamerica.com and let me see what I can do. I'm happy to try to do that if I can. CNT Designs, good to see you again. Says it's all good, brother. My kids jump on my streams and vids all the time. That's cool. I don't do it. Honestly, guys, I don't show my son. Usually don't see a picture of him or anything because I've had death threats to my family before. And while I can handle anything directed at me, my wife and my son don't deserve that. So I try to keep them out of it. You'll see once or twice a year a picture of myself and my wife on Instagram or somewhere. And then in some cases, I'll take it back down just because I don't want anybody to be able to recognize them because you can find out where anybody lives, right? And I certainly don't want my son out there, where people can exploit him or whatever, or make threats at him, talk about him. So that's probably a pretty good way to set me off is to start talking about my family, especially my son, who has special needs and can't defend himself. So I would have a bit of a problem with that. So the best way to do that is just to keep him out of the public eye. And again, I can handle the death threats to myself and the threats in general, but I'm not going to tolerate those directed at my wife or especially my son, who cannot speak for himself or talk back. 4 dead, really? I was not aware of that. Oh wait, where was that at? Where is that at? Somebody just said 4 dead. Here we go. Jay Woody said 4 dead according to my feed. Really? Okay, let's go back and look at this again. Maybe there's some additional information that's come out since then. Again, guys, it's funny how the media doesn't want to hyper focus on potential gang type shootings because they don't care. The media doesn't care and politicians don't care. I don't care what the political party is. The politicians don't care about gang related shootings at all, especially the ones who are voting, who those gang members sometimes will vote for. Those people don't care about them. The media could give 2 craps about somebody in the hood getting shot up. So they get off of those stories fast. That's why if you don't catch the information as soon as something like this happens, it dwindles and goes away. And at some point, you just don't hear anything else about it. And I've covered gang shootings before. 3 days later, I can't find anything on them other than what I'd already read. Man, I'm still, if you got a link, share it with me. I'm still showing 1 dead, 3 injured on this. It does appear that's all I've got, man. I NBC4 in Washington. That's, wait, here's one. Washington Post. Let me go back to that. That looked like that was 28 minutes ago. Let's see if there's something. A lot of these other types of networks will put something out there that provides steady updates. Yeah, you remember yesterday in the Louisville shooting, they had 2 different news stations doing live streaming the whole time, pulling data. Washington, D.C. has a shooting at a funeral home, and they mention it with a crawler at the bottom and then go on to the next story. You see what I mean? I mean, you can call that racism, classism, or whatever you want to call it, but clearly this is not important to the media. Let's see what the Hill said again. I think I clicked on this one earlier. I don't know why my internet sucks right now. Yeah, dude, I don't find anything else on this. There's a local affiliate right there. Same thing. 2 hours. That's showing 2 hours ago now. So nothing new on that. Let me go to a different search engine now, guys. Just bear with me 1 minute. I'm going to go to brave.com. Again, that's a different type of search engine, instead of downloading it, you can just use it as a portal. Where is it at? There's a portal you can just go to. Where is it? That's privacy online, 3 times faster than Chrome. I don't want to download that. I just want to enter into it. Stop being followed online. Oh, come on. Where is it? You can just go straight into there and start Googling. Where is it? Or braving, I guess. Enjoy, download Brave. I don't want to download it. I just want to go into it. Just want to use it. Again, my son is fine. Nothing wrong with him. That's just him making a little racket in there. Here we go. Try Brave search. That's all I want to do. Let's see. DC shooting. Okay. DC funeral home shooting 25 minutes ago. So let's try. That's the Washington Post. That's likely the same story we've already looked at. Still saying 1 killed. So if you've got a link and maybe you've posted it, but I don't see it, let me grab a screen and I'll leave it up. Let's call this a DC mass shooting. Minutes after. Wait. DC mass shooting happened minutes after a funeral. Okay, no, it's the same thing. This is not a mass shooting. Same information so far. This one's saying started around 12:15, fired into a crowd, striking 4 people. A targeted attack. 1 person pronounced dead at the scene. We've already seen the location of where it's at. It's not where all of our swamp rats live. Yeah, man. As you can see, the media is, I think they've lost interest already. It would appear that the media does not care about this at this point moving forward. They've already abandoned the story, and they're probably back to the Louisville story because it's a whole lot more politically arousing to them. So my guess is they're all refocusing their efforts now, and this is not important. At first, they were probably like, ooh, cool, another shooting that we can make money off of. And then all of a sudden, they're like, ah, crap. Can't make money off this. This happens every other day. So, Rat Prophet says, I bet the gangsters were shooting their guns sideways like in an action movie. Yeah. I mean, they had to out of a window, right? Isn't that how it's got to be done? What's this? Oh, yeah. Chuck Moore Gun Club says sheriff got the last of 3 shooters in Florida. That's right. That was something that, if you'll remember the video that I posted a couple days ago on the sheriff in Florida who said it's not about the gun, it's about the people, and we need to hold them accountable. Very, very well-spoken sheriff and knew what he was talking about. If you're not familiar with the case, 3 juveniles killed 3 other juveniles. And it was a shame the way all that went down because it was through a series of burglaries. They were just simply grabbing door handles and breaking into cars. And they thank you, man. I appreciate you, Indiana Diesel. Always, brother. You're always there for me. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, these people, these 3 juveniles, I think one was 12. I believe it was 16, 16, and 12-year-old juveniles burglarizing vehicles. And somehow or another along the line, they ended up murdering 3 people. And they just caught yesterday, I believe it was. Was it yesterday, the day before? They caught the 3rd person. So they have all 3 of them. The 12-year-old won't get anything. You know that. The 12-year-old will actually get street cred. He'll roll out on the street and everybody will say, oh, check him out, because he'll put a little tattoo under his eye, or 3 tattoos, teardrop tattoos under his eye, and he'll be Mr. Cool on the streets again. So that's unfortunate that all you get out of this is street cred whenever they're, quote, kids. It's funny how if they're shooting each other with guns and they get shot, they can be 19 years old and as children. but nobody sympathizes with them being mama's little baby whenever they're 16 years old, putting bullets in somebody. Again, we have a 12-year-old that was part of this. So that's a shame. You're right. 30 round. That's exactly right. In a lot of cases, and this is not hearsay. This is all stuff that you can read from law enforcement reports, after action reports, and things like that. A lot of times these people are using these younger people to do these murders for that very reason, because they get off and they get either reduced or no sentence whatsoever for taking grown adults' lives. So a lot of these gang members who are of age and who would get, I won't say the book thrown at them, because nobody throws the book at gang members anymore. They all get off at some point and at some level, but they're using these juveniles to go in there because they know nothing happens to the juveniles. They get a slap on the wrist. Let's go talk to mom. Ask her, if she can keep an eye on the kid. Boom, the kid goes home and everything's good. The kid's back out on the street doing the same thing he was doing again. Let's see what this was. 6-year-old story pretty much disappeared because of the shooter's identity. Yeah, and that 6-year-old shooter also, I don't know if you noticed, yesterday a report came out that the 6-year-old shooter's mom in Virginia, if you'll remember, this is the 6-year-old that shot the teacher and was warned several times at school that this kid had a gun in his book bag. And they actually arrested the mom and are charging her yesterday with a crime of not putting that gun up and child endangerment for leaving that gun out for that 6-year-old. And get this, they're doing nothing to the kid, nothing at all. Now, come on, man. Is the kid fully responsible for having access to that gun? Yeah. Should the mom have left it out? The kid already appeared to be a problem because they were already, they knew this kid was on their radar at school at 6 years old. So clearly there's some parenting involved and you got a bad kid involved. But the kid got nothing, no juvenile record, nothing. Now, I don't know what the laws are, excuse me, in Virginia. I know different states have different laws. But this kid it was attempted murder. He tried to shoot somebody. So if this kid got nothing and the mom is the one that's going to get the charges thrown against her, what message does that send to any other kid out there who might want to, I don't know, not want to do something like this, but might be thinking, I'm going to act out or I want to get street cred or something like that? Well, shoot, if you're not going to get any charges thrown at you, what difference does it make? Yeah, maybe your mom gets some charges thrown against her, but what if you're mad at your mom, So anyway, yeah, that's sad that happened. That's very unfortunate how that went down. Let's see. Yep, Second Amendment has no age limit. Teacher tried to disarm the kid. Well, I don't think the kid should have. I'm not sure I don't think that's how it happened. I think they got in an argument, and she wasn't disarming the kid. I think they just got in an argument, and he shot the kid or shot the teacher. Yep. You got to raise them right. It does start at home. No doubt about it. So again, guys, the DC shooter looks like this is, in terms of the media, not me, in terms of the media, this appears to be a nothing burger to them. They're thinking, oh, another bunch of guys from gang members that shot each other up. We don't care. Let's go back to the Louisville shooting and see if we can't raise a little more awareness for gun control over there. Yeah, they're still saying just 1 dead and 3 wounded. That seems to be the consensus right now. So we're going to stick with that. Guys, I may come back later on when I got more information. Hate to kick you all off out of here right now because there's 700 of you on here, but we don't have any more information. I feel like I'm wasting your time. So, and I don't want to get you in trouble at work if you're at work. So I'm going to go dig, try to find some more stuff. Look, guys, don't forget, I'm going to be at the NRA annual meeting at the Rock Island Armory booth this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday. I'll be over there. Again, the Rock Island Armory Arm Score booth. I'll be there. I'll be signing copies of my book, giving out stickers, decals, patches, caps, T-shirts as my supplies last. So if you're in the area, please, please, please go check us out. It's at the, again, the NRA annual meeting in Indianapolis, Indiana. I hope to see you guys there. Guys, I'm probably going to check back on here in a little while. So